Morning, everybody. We'll call to order our November 7th, 2017 regular meeting of the Mason County Board of Commissioners. We'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, if you'd please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk would please take the roll.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Drexler.
Here.
Very good, thank you. Moves us to item number 4, correspondence and organizational business. Item 4.1, if the clerk would please report the correspondence.
The Port of Greatview sent comments on the Economic Development Council's request for $68,000. Mendy Harlow sent an application for the Parks and Trails Advisory Committee. Mary Jones sent a resignation letter for the Parks and Trails Advisory Committee effective October 19th, 2017. Stephen Hardy sent a letter of resignation from the Timberland Regional Library Board effective December 31st, 2017. Deborah Rice sent an application for the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council. The State of Washington Department of Ecology sent a letter on evaluations for Western Washington Municipal Stormwater General Permit coverage. L.B. Kriegenow sent a letter to provide comments and initiate an appeal of the revised flood map. Tila Edwards sent a letter regarding the PUD 3 meter change. And finally, the 2018 levy and budget reports were sent in from the following: Mason County Fire District number 6, Mason County Public Hospital number 2, and the Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Okay, thank you. Item 4.2, we have a news release, Mason County Volunteer Boards. Invite staff forward to read the release.
A news release in regards to the Mason County Volunteer Boards. Are you looking for a way to give back to your community? Here is a list of volunteer advisory boards that need your help. The Housing Authority. Mason County Housing Authority was organized in 1972 and oversees the management of several low-income Mason County properties, including the Goldsboro Cove and Fairmount Cove Apartments, Pine Gardens, and the Neeland Park Apartments. The Housing Authority is an independent municipal corporation with a dedicated volunteer board and no paid staff. This board is passionate about providing low-income housing to our community, and if you have a willingness to invest your time and energy, this board is for you. The Housing Authority typically meets monthly in Shelton. We also have the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging, and is a local government agency that provides home and community services for seniors and adults with disabilities to help them help them remain living in their own homes. The Advisory Council makes recommendations to the governing board and staff. It is critical that Mason County is represented on this council so our seniors and adults with disabilities receive their fair share of services. This Advisory Council typically meets monthly in Olympia. The Mason County Historic Preservation Commission. The major responsibility of this commission is to identify and actively encourage the conservation of the Mason County's historic resources by initiating and maintaining a register of historic places and reviewing proposed changes to registered properties. They also work to raise community awareness of Mason County's historic history and historic resources and serve as Mason County's primary resource in matters of history, historic planning, and preservation. This is a great way to help preserve our history, and meetings are held the second Thursday of the month, 2 p.m. in Shelton. The Mason County Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. This is responsible for the distribution of up to $300,000 of lodging tax annually. The members are appointed by the Board of Mason County Commissioners and include representatives of business, i.e. motels, hotels, campgrounds, VRBOs, and Airbnbs. They are required to collect lodging tax, generators, and members who are persons involved in activities, i.e. holding festivals, visitor information centers, that are authorized to be funded by lodging tax revenues. Those are the spenders. The committee reviews requests for lodging tax funding and makes recommendations to the commissioners regarding the use of lodging tax monies. This is done in an effort to increase tourism and bring people to our county to stay in our lodging establishments. The committee generally meets 4 to 6 times a year during the regular business hours in Shelton. The Noxious Weed Control Board has the mission of working to protect the citizens' natural resources, including lakes, shellfish, and timber, livestock and agricultural resources of Mason County from the degrading effects of noxious weed invasions. The board works to identify priority weed issues and develops a strategy to control noxious weeds for the cooperation of residents and agencies in the county. The board meets a few times a year in Shelton. The Planning Advisory Commission vacancy. If you want to influence Mason County's long-term direction and vision for our goals, the Planning Advisory Commission is for you. The PAC is a 7-member, hard-working citizen board appointed to advise the Board of Commissioners. Appointed on policy, to advise the Board of Commissioners on policy related to amendments to the Comprehensive Plan, Shoreline Master Plan, and land use regulations. This commission takes an investment of your time and energy and meets on the third Monday at 6 p.m. in Shelton and may also have additional evening meetings. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Where does all that garbage go? Well, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee reviews and makes recommendations to the commissioners regarding solid waste and special waste management in Mason County, including disposal rates, disposal options, waste reduction, recycling, household hazardous waste, and composting programs. If you have a personal or professional interest in waste management, you can help develop the comprehensive plan of our community. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee typically meets once a month at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays in our Public Works building. The Transportation Improvement Program Citizens Advisory Panel, the TIPCAP. Mason County has one of the best road systems in our state, and the mission of TIPCAP is to represent citizen transportation interests throughout Mason County for all modes of travel during the development of the 6-year Transportation Improvement Program. The TIPCAP will review and analyze Mason County's transportation needs and make recommendations to the Board of Mason County Commissioners. This board meets the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. in our Public Works building. The Civil Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission is charged with the recruitment, testing, hiring, and promotion of all Sheriff's Office employees under Chapter 41.14 RCW. The Board of County Commissioners appoints citizens of the county to serve on the Civil Service Commission. The terms are for 6 years without compensation, and you cannot hold any salaried public office or engage in county employment other than the commission duties during their term. Only 2 commissioners can be of the same political party. This group meets at 5 p.m. the third Thursday of the month in Shelton. Finally, Timberland Regional Library Board. The TLR Board of Trustees is a 5-county rural library district, including Grays Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Thurston, and Pacific. The board is made up of several members, 1 from the 5 counties included in the district, and 2 at-large members. This is an unpaid position, although travel and board-related expenses are reimbursable. The TRL Board of Trustees attends monthly meetings and scheduled events. Board meetings are generally scheduled on the 4th Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. There are usually 6 meetings a year held in Olympia and 6 meetings held in other areas of the district. For more information on any of the above boards, please visit our website, www.co.mason.wa.us/ASLE/index, or contact Mason County at 360-427-9670. If you are interested in serving on one of these boards, we highly encourage you to attend a meeting so you know it's the right board for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Just trying to help everybody with column inches and everything this week, so certainly appreciate you reading that, Frank. Okay, this will move us to item number 5, which is our open forum for citizen input. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forward and address the commission on items that are not on today's agenda. If a member of the public would like to come forward and do so now, the chair will recognize you. Tom?
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Davis. I'm a resident of District 2. I'd like to speak for a couple of minutes, if I might, on the Assessor's Office. I feel somewhat qualified to do that. I had a fee appraisal shop for 15 years in San Diego, and my wife, who was one of the first appraisers female appraisers in San Diego, she assessed for 28 years. Lately, the assessor's office has been getting a lot of slack, and maybe people don't fully understand what's involved and the amount of work that's involved. There's 58,000 parcels, taxable parcels here in Mason County, and last year they generated from that office, actually collected from that office in property taxes, about $78 million. So they're the kind of lifeblood of the county operations. Without the assessor's office, we wouldn't have a county, we wouldn't have county operations. And so sometimes people don't like to pay taxes, and that's normal. But you can't win as the county assessor. People like a high property tax when they go to sell the property and a low property tax while they're living in the property. It's not for the weak of heart. And even when you do your job correctly, they build a big pig to you in a statue and they put it out on first. And that's unfortunate. So they don't have too many friends, and they don't, quite frankly, make a lot of money if you compare it to other department heads. So what I kind of like to bring forth is that when you do budget cuts, and they're necessary, and the budget cuts across the board, you can't, I don't believe, in the best interest of the county, do across-the-board cuts, in this case 17.5%, without considering the function of that particular department. Now, there is no department that I would say, oh, that's the department you want to cut. But I can say that the assessor's department is the department that you do not want to cut. I believe at this point they only have nine people who go in the field. And bear in mind that there's what they call mass appraisals, and mass appraisals are a formula that is basically plugged into a system that figures out $1 per square foot of value, and that is what your tax is assigned if no one has come out and physically inspected your property. It used to be that 1/4 of the county was physically inspected. So the other 3/4 of the county was not inspected, and their taxes stayed the same. That sometimes worked for you, depending on if the market went up or down. Sometimes it worked against you. Right now, there's 6 divisions in the county, 6 districts rather in the county, and only one of those districts get physically inspected every year. Yet all of the districts get reassessed. That's dramatically different than the way it used to be. So one is physically inspected, meaning somebody comes out and looks at your property, makes an accurate appraisal to the best of their ability, and all the rest are plugged in with a formula depending on how many properties sold in the district and in the county. And so there's a great deal of opportunity for an assessment that is not stapled to the market value of your property. But you do have recourse. You can go before the Board of Equalization. I've had a couple of exceptions with my properties. I simply call the county assessor. We had a conversation. On one particular time, they sent somebody out who was resolved. There's not a great deal of reason to have animosity between the necessity of taxes and the people who actually have to apply those taxes for county operation purposes. It can all be done rather civilly, and as I said, there's always recourse. You can always contest your tax. But I think they go underappreciated, and they've become somewhat of a political football, I believe, lately. You can't open the paper without seeing a bunch of letters from people who are out of state who are complaining quite loudly about their property taxes. So if they do their job right, they get disparaged. If they do their job wrong, well, there's really no difference. But the assessor itself has no motivation at all to give you low taxes or high taxes. They're simply doing their job. They don't get paid any more money. And so I think from time to time, it would behoove this commission to recognize the county assessor. It's not a politically popular thing to do, but it's a job that somebody has to do for the lifeblood of this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public for comment under item 5? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, which is adoption of our agenda. Now, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Item number 7, approval of minutes. Minutes from September 18th, October 16th, October 23rd, briefing minutes, and then October 17th and 24th, regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of the September 18th, October 16th, October 23rd, 2017 briefing minutes, and October 17th, October 24th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the September 18th, October 16th, and October 23rd, 2017 briefing minutes, and October 17th and October 24th, 2017 regular meeting minutes. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moves us to item number 8, which is the approval of our action agenda today. Commissioners will read through the items on today's action agenda, at which time a commissioner or a member of the public can have an item removed for a separate discussion and vote. Commissioner Netherland, if you would please take items 8.1 through 8.8. Commissioner Drexler, 8.9 through 16, and then I will do 8.17 through 24.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, item number 8.1 reads, approval to authorize Public Works to use written and/or telephone solicitations to establish a 2018 surfacing materials unit pricing vendor list and purchase quantities as needed for projects throughout Mason County. Item number 8.2, approval to authorize Public Works ER&R to advertise set bid opening award contract if needed and allow chair to sign all pertinent documents for the call for bids to furnish Mason County with culvert pipe and linings for the 2018 calendar year. Contract awards will be announced at a scheduled meeting of the Board of Mason County Commissioners. Item number 8.3, approval to authorize Public Works ER&R to use written and/or telephone solicitations for tire repair and towing services for the 2018 calendar year, and approval to execute and award contracts. Mason County does not guarantee a minimum purchase of these services. Item number 8.4, approval to authorize Public Works and ER&R to advertise set bid opening date and time, award, and allow chair to sign all pertinent documents for the call for bids to furnish Mason County with asphaltic materials for 2018 calendar year. Contract awards will be announced at a scheduled meeting of the Board of Mason County Commissioners. Item number 8.5, approval to set 2 public hearings for Tuesday, November 28, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. to receive public comment on the 2018 Annual Construction Program and the 2018 through 23 6-year Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. Item number 8.6, approval of the revised interlocal agreement number 17-012 between Mason Transit Authority, MTA, and Mason County, allowing both parties to request for acquisition of services. Item number 8.7, approval of warrants, claims clearing fund warrants number 8051731 through 8052238 for the amount of $2,915,772.45. Direct deposit fund warrants number 44943 through 45312 for the amount of $631,388.27. Salary Clearing Fund, warrants number 7003155 through 7003186 for the amount of $476,626 even. The total, $4,023,786.72. Item number 8.8, approval of the contract with Goldstein Law Office effective November 1st, 2017, which replaces service previously provided by the law office of Kelly Seago for the Office of Public Defense.
Mr. Chair, item 8.9, approval to reappoint Ed Huber to the Mason County Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term ending November 2020. 8.10, approval to reappoint April Pooler to the Veterans Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending November 1st, 2019. 8.11, approval to adopt the resolution updating the Commission's operating guidelines. 8.12, approval to amend rules of the Board, meetings of the Board of County Commissioners, adding County Code Chapter 2.88.095 pertaining to the use of electronic devices during Commission meetings. 8.13, approval to extend the contract with MasonWebTV.com for live streaming services of regular Commission meetings and Board of Health meetings for 2018. The rate per meeting is $50 for up to 4 hours. The rate for each additional hours is $25. 8.14, approval to set a public hearing on November 28, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. to certify to the county assessor the amount of taxes levied for county purposes and the amount of taxes levied for each taxing district for 2018. An increase to the current expense and road property tax levies for 2018 may be considered. 8.15, approval to set a public hearing on Monday, December 4, 2017 at 9 a.m. to consider adoption of the 2018 budget for Mason County. Copies of the 2018 preliminary budget will be available to the public on November 20th, 2017. 8.16, approval of a resolution providing for the issuance, sale, and delivery not to exceed $7,250,000 aggregate principal amount of limited tax general obligation refunding bonds to provide funds necessary to refund certain outstanding general obligation bonds of the county, fixing or setting parameters with respect to certain terms and covenants of the bonds, and appointing the county's designated representative to approve the final terms of the sale of the bonds.
Item 8.17, approval of the interlocal agreement for fire investigation services between Mason County and Mason County Fire Chiefs Association. Item 8.18, approval to designate Alex Pacey, lead worker in the environmental health section of community services for a maximum consideration of $5,805.60 annually, retroactive October 15th, 2017. Item 8.19, approval of the professional services contract agreement between Hood Canal Coordinating Council and Mason County Public Health for Phase 3 of the Environmental Protection Agency National Estuaries Program Pollution Identification and Correction Grant. Item 8.20, approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 5th, 2017 for the Mason County Comprehensive Plan Update and Development Regulation Amendments as outlined in the 2017 docket of amendments. Item 8.21, approval to amend Resolution 76-16 determining the county's 2018 health insurance contributions, and approval to amend Resolution 47-17 to revise the non-represented salary scale by approving a 1.02% cost of living adjustment, COLA, and 2% general wage increase. 8.22, approval of the letter of support for the Transportation Improvement Board funding request from the City of Shelton for the Downtown Corridor Project. 8.23, approval to amend the resolution that changes Mason County's financial reporting to cash basis with no open period effective January 1st, 2017. Item 8.24, approval of the letter to Puget Sound Industrial Center regarding the Bremerton Manufacturing Industrial Center. Okay, having read through all of the items on today's action agenda, is there any item that a commissioner or a member of the public would like to have removed for a separate discussion and vote?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to state item 8.24 is actually approval of the letter to the Puget Sound Regional Council and not the Industrial Center.
Okay. Okay, any items for separate vote or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the action agenda as presented.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the action agenda as presented. Any additional discussion?
Just, there's a lot of work that went on here for all these items, and just wanted to point out I appreciate the efforts of the treasurer and our finance committee on getting our bonds, or the refinancing of certain bonds. That'll save some money on interest rates over the years. And like I said, I just want to acknowledge there's a lot of work that went into every item here, and it just feels kind of too fast to just approve it without some acknowledgement and recognition of all of these items.
Thank you.
I'd agree with that as well. With the addition, again, with the appreciation, and very thankful to the audit committee for everything they've done. We just had a exit audit, and we're definitely changing, getting better. A lot of things are getting taken care of. The different policies they put off, the one that's before us today at the end is unanimous, and it's so nice that there's so many of them working together to make things happen unanimously in this county so that we can adjust and do away with some of the issues that we've had. So a special thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moves us to item number 9, which is other business. It's an opportunity for department heads and elected officials to address the commission. Wait for the mass exodus here. I was waiting for everybody to leave and then don't want a traffic jam. Okay, so item number 9, other business, opportunity for department heads or elected officials to address the commission. If you'd like to come forward now, please do so.
I get jacked until I build lots of houses, build fast. Well, I have a number of things on here that I'm going to address, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to have to go through several documents to touch on all of them. But I wanted to address last week, the week before last, the commission meeting. It was noted that the sheriff's office was not here. It's difficult for us to be everywhere, at every place, at every time, but we had thought through briefings and things that things were pretty well taken care of on jail contracts. When the paper came out, and I won't quote, or I could if you want, it's right here, so there won't be any inaccuracies. There were questions that if, over the years, that the sheriff's office briefed enough, and what about the jail, and the numbers in the beds, and on and on and on, yada yada, for the last years since I've been here, and since many years before I came here. So last week in the paper, without making a direct quote, it was stated that they didn't know, the commission wasn't aware if there was a county contract or if there was one available. First part of that is I brought in a copy of that county contract, and on that contract has all the commissioners' signatures on it. So I wanted to verify that in fact there was a county contract. It was brought up last week if it was available or not. Whether it was available or not, the commission had signed that. Secondly, concerning...
Sheriff, can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
We found a contract that terminated at the end of 2016. We couldn't find a contract that went through the year 2017.
Okay, I'm going to address that.
Thank you.
Because it said further in here about 2017. And so when it was mentioned, and I'm not saying that it was the sheriff's office that said we couldn't produce the copy. It appears it was county staff. So what we did is we went to the county's website and we found the copy of the interlocal agreement for 2017 on your website. So that's where we received it at. So if there's questions on the county contracts being signed or county, nobody knowing about them, I found them, or my staff found them on the county's website, as well as those contracts were signed previously. The next thing I want to address on there, so both that one was signed in the 2017, one should have been available because it was on the county's website, not mine. The next thing, there was a question, there's been these questions on briefing dates and how many briefings and not knowing about the jail. I'm just going to grab the ones that we pulled up on briefing dates off the county website just fairly recently. We briefed on this whole subject on 2/23/15, 4/17/15, at the next regular meeting at 4/13/15, 5/18/15, 6/15/15, 6/22/15, 6/29/15, 7/13/15, 7/20/15, 11/23/15, 5/2/16, and 6/6/16. I can go back to 2004 and pull up the rest of them if they're needed. There shouldn't be any reason to not understand why these contracts and about these. We've briefed and briefed and briefed on them, and when the paper comes out and people start calling me about that, I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't us that didn't have those contracts. The next piece,
Sheriff, are you saying we briefed on that subject, or we just briefed on those dates?
these are the briefing items. It says in here for the sheriff's office briefing dates on jail outsourcing contracts. This is your document. So I'm just pulling these up as what they're. So we've sat through all these, and many of us can verify that we were there. The next piece that got brought up in the paper, I kind of understand some of the concern, but others I don't, had to do with the discussion on the jail and the outsourcing and the contract with Lewis County. I have the letter, both the letters from Sheriff Snaza regarding the cost of the jail, and there's always changes in that. I can understand that. However, I thought Sheriff Snaza was pretty clear in the letter that was written that here's the rates and they're going to increase by 5%. So I've got both of those letters, and what those things are. And it noted in the paper there were some questions on those things. Well, of course, one was in percentages, saying this is the percentage that's going to go up, and the other one was what the current rate was and what it was being raised to. So I wanted to address those items particularly. The next piece that I wanted to go back to, there's been all these arguments about jail holding cells and different things, and I can go back to 2015, the Criminal Justice Working Team Subcommittee on Jail Facilities Recommendations, Preliminary Reports, and Short-Term Recommendations of how many beds are in the holding cells from back then in 2015 that were measured by an outside source, which is exactly what Chief Hansen has been bringing up. I'd also like to go back to a document dated December 9th, 2014, as I've heard numerous times that it's because of the jail that our county is out in these big financial things. I'd like to go back and look at that on December 9th, 2014, where a comment was made in there. This is the Commissioner's budget notice. It says, the increase in staffing will create a bow wave of expenditures that will continue in the future of the budgets of Mason County, resulting in $2.132 million. And without looking at increasing the revenue stream for the county, it will be unsustainable. That was in 2014. So between 2014 and 2017, there was time to address that. Then I go back to spring of 2014, where a document is written by the Mason County Citizens Task Force for Public Safety on Criminal Justice. And in 2014, it says, the alarming statistics outlined in the problem definition and increasing the need for more resources prompted Mason County Criminal Justice Working Team to request this task force to be formed to evaluate the law and justice service needs of Mason County and to evaluate whether these needs could be met by an increase in county sales tax or other revenue streams. And that goes back to 2014. There's some other documentation in here. Then I pulled up another piece in discussion going back just to show how far back we discussed this just since I've been here. In 2008, the Adult Detention Alternatives to Detention recommendations by Foster and Williams Architects, it goes back and addresses the jail's need spaces, and it addresses in 2008 that by 2017, the commission and the county should have planned for a jail that holds at least 210 with a staffing level of 45 to keep up with standards, and that was in 2008. Then going back further to a note from the Mason County Superior Court to 2007, and that was the first year that I arrived here, the recommendation of court was they believe that that the current jail facility is its functional maximum security level, unless it's a functional maximum security level jail, should actually be increased in 2000, since 2007. So my concern was, is last week in the paper when people were keep continuing this, how many beds are in the jail and has it been discussed and all these things. There are documents that go back, I can reel back up from all the way back from 1986, if I'm not correct, somewhere right in there where the judge recommended back then in 86 that we should be moving forward in 86 with increasing the size of the jail because the current jail wasn't big enough. It was just built 4 or 5 years before that. Anyway, last week, for clarification for those that keep calling my office asking about no jail contracts, the jail contracts exist. I've got copies of them. I've got copies of this 2017 addendum from the county's website, and I wanted to clarify that because I'm tired of dealing with this and either the lack of understanding or just merely saying we don't have something that we do. And so I've got copies of all those, and we've got copies of jail assessment and space needs that go back to the early 1990s, all the way through all the different reports over the year. So we didn't just get here on this jail needs this last couple of years because of jail outsourcing. And the last point I'd like to bring up is we had to outsource in the jail. We had to do that because during that time, the decision was made to go out and fix that jail, change the jail around. That was supposed to be a number of months project. It turned out to be a number of years. During that time, we simply did not have the space to incarcerate people. And so we had to go outside. And so when we did that, to say that the sheriff's office, we didn't know what they were doing, the commission signed those contracts, was well aware of what was going on in all these briefings. So I wanted to make that clear to the public, and if you'd like copies of those contracts or all the other documents that we have leading up to that time, we'd be happy to provide them, but I'm sure, in fact, that the needs of Mason County aren't just based on this jail process. Since the jail was open and we were able to bring people back and put the cap on the jail, we haven't gone over the budget because we haven't had to. So that's where we're at, and I wanted to answer those things from the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other department heads or electeds? Okay. We have passed the 9:30 mark, and we can move on to item number 10, which is our public hearings. We'll begin with item 10.1, which is a public hearing to approve speed limit changes on the following roads. Little Mission Creek Lane, approval to execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles per hour. And Lincoln Court, approval to execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles per hour. At this point, I invite staff forward to brief.
Dave Smith, Public Works Department. Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you. Before you this morning are recommendations to post speed limits associated signs on Duato Beach Road, Little Mission Creek, and on Lincoln Court. These are low-volume residential roads. The concern has been that vehicles are exceeding the safe speed, and there's no roadway lighting on any of these roads. And by posting these roads with a speed limit, it'll provide the unfamiliar driver with what is a safe speed. So if you have any questions for me at this time.
Any questions for staff? At this point, I'll open the public comment period. If you'd like to make comment on item 10.1, please come forward to the podium and the chair will recognize you. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment portion and move to commissioner discussion and a potential motion.
Just a note for those that, that weren't here during our briefings, but, absent of a speed limit, it's 50 miles per hour. And this is a little tiny road, and so we don't want it to be absent of a speed limit, so.
I went out and took a look at the roads to make sure I knew which ones we were talking about, and very inappropriate to have 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I think 25 is very appropriate.
I know them well out there.
Okay. I would
Mr.
entertain a
Chair, I'd
motion.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve a speed limit change on Little Mission Creek and execute the ordinance to post the speed limits at 25 miles per hour, and that we approve a speed limit change on Lincoln Court and execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles an hour.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve and execute the ordinance to post 25 mile per hour speed limit on Little Mission Creek Lane and Lincoln Court. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Item 10.2, the public hearing to approve the speed limit change on Duato Beach Drive and approval to execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles per hour.
There's one more.
This is you.
I wasn't quite sure why these were separated.
Yeah. So, Dave, if you wouldn't mind just coming up and...
Duato Beach.
Duato Beach is a separate public
The way it
hearing.
works, you never know, someone may have a question on that road. Okay.
So again, we received a request to review the speed limit on that road, which was not posted. And the specific citizen's complaint is that the vehicles are exceeding the safe speed. They're speeding up and down the road. So our recommendation is it be posted at 25 miles per hour.
Okay, very good. Any questions for staff?
No.
Hearing none, I will now open the public comment period. Member of the public would like to come forward and make comment on item 10.2. Please do so at this time. Okay, hearing none, I will close the public comment period and move to commissioner discussion and a motion.
I can't help, I was drawn to just asking questions just in random, just to get you going. But, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the speed limit change in Duato Beach Drive to the approval to execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles per hour.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the speed limit change on Duato Beach Drive and approve the approval to execute the ordinance to post the speed limit at 25 miles per hour. Any additional discussion?
Just that this is an amazingly beautiful area of the county. If anybody's had a chance to go down there, and 25 miles an hour is appropriate, just so that people appreciate how gorgeous it is as well, the safety.
That's my area. How many times have I told you I'm the most blessed man in the world? Just drive those roads so you can see why I smile so much on it.
Okay, hearing no additional discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moves us to item number 2. You're free to go now.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
work.
We move to item 11, which is our board reports and calendar. I'll get us started, and then we'll go to Commissioner Netherland and finish with Commissioner Drexler. A couple of items upcoming this week. Tomorrow, we have the Mason Transit Authority Board Composition Review. in the afternoon, followed by additional budget workshops in the afternoon tomorrow as well. I may be attending the business after hours at the Journal tomorrow evening. Later this week, courthouse security meeting, meeting with Scott Brewer from the Hood Canal Coordinating Council and Rotary. And then Friday, the holiday, back for briefings in our meeting on Monday and Tuesday next week.
Okay, so some of the things that just hit the last week or so here, the cemetery board, Lakeland Village Homeowner Association, we had our teacher appreciation dinner, which I love our community. We had like 7 different soups that everybody made and brought forward for these teachers. It was wonderful. We had an audit committee meeting, several audit committee meetings. I met with Hope Recovery in regards to opioid abuse and trying to bring them to North Mason to help bring some services up there. And then I met with the Homeowners Association of Huckleberry Woods. I think I already shared this with you, but I actually, very rarely do I ever get insulted. You know, for some reason, it hurts me, but it doesn't usually bother me that much. And I usually don't snap back, but this time I did. Somebody actually called me a city slicker, and I took great offense to that for some reason. And I was surprised how much of an offense I took to it, because I'm from Belfair. It's a little hard to be a city slicker from Belfair. But they meant it, too. That was the funny thing about it. Let's see, we got our regular briefings, we had our budget workshops, we had more audit committee meetings, we had more briefings than the left board meeting this morning. I will be attending a meeting of the ARC. Also will be attending an opioid forum in Key Peninsula. They're having one there like we're having here, and they've asked me to come to see if ways we can bring some of their stuff here, of course. So I plan on attending that. Mason Transit Authority composition meeting as well. Budget meetings, I will be attending the EDC meeting. We'll have another audit committee meeting, Trails in Potluck, briefings, and then more budget meetings. And that brings us back to our regular business.
Good, thank you.
Last week, we had our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee meeting, and we adopted bylaws, which included the option to have an alternate appointed. So many times our hoteliers are awfully busy people, and it's difficult to get them, for them to be freed up, especially our B&B when they have guests and they have to stay behind. So hopefully that'll keep our meetings going well, and then continue the representation of the hoteliers, which I think is very vital on that board meeting. Had the budget workshops. Had the opportunity Saturday to attend the open house and grand opening of the Pioneer Middle School, and it is phenomenal. It's a gorgeous facility. I'm very impressed by what ended up being built, and having children who had gone to the previous school. It is such a far cry, and it just shows that we honor the children. And it was such a horrible, horrible buildings prior to that. And so I congratulate and thank the voters and everybody that worked so hard to get that built. This week, following today's meeting, I will be attending a criminal work group. It's not the criminal justice working team, but a criminal work group of the Superior Court, Public Defense, and prosecutor. We're trying to develop a protocol for early identification of inmates that might need mental health treatment, and so that they can get the approval from the judges to go out of the jail for their treatment, which is more appropriate in many times. And then I'll have a meeting with Tim Whitehead on an issue with one of our contracts. Then I have an Olympic Region Clean Air Authority Board meeting tomorrow, then the meeting of the Mason Transit Governance Group as well, and then our budget workshop, meeting with Debbie Riley on a Conservation District proposals that we've been discussing. Also meeting with Scott Brewer from Hood Canal Coordinating Council. The Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Board meeting is Thursday the 9th, and then I'll also be attending a public meeting about a potential new high school in the Pioneer and Hood Canal School District, and that will be held at Pioneer School on Thursday evening at 5:30. And then we have the Veterans Day holiday, and back here for commission briefings on Monday.
Very good, thank you. That's exciting news out of Hood Canal and Pioneer. I think it'd be interesting to hear folks weigh in on that.
We had some it will be, and we had some discussion, or there was a question at the candidate forum for the Greatview School District Board about their thoughts about partnering as well. And I did ask the Pioneer board member what if those discussions had gone any further with that board, and it looks like Greatview would prefer just to be a feeder school to a potentially new high school. So, but it is very exciting. We've been, as long as I've been here, I've been trying to get that done.
Yeah.
Well, smaller ones seem to be more beneficial to our kids too. You know, Great View is a great example, even though, you know, for their district themselves, they have a very high level of excellence there that they put out. So maybe this will be a great benefit to our community. A question on your LTAC. You're looking to put on an alternate for another revenue generator?
For any of the board members, but where we tend to have problems are the revenue generators. For instance, we have a member who has a B&B, and so if she has guests and we book a meeting, she ends up with guests that night that she didn't anticipate. She can't attend because she's serving her guests. So if she had an alternate assigned, that person could come be their proxy at the meeting.
You would make sure they're a generator, and then you'll bring on an equal.
Oh, and so that is our call for applications in all 10 of those advisory boards. Yes, we're looking for new members, both generator and spenders, because we have.
I remember it had to be equal, and I don't want to
Absolutely.
make a mistake on that one.
Absolutely.
One item that I forgot to mention on my calendar is our jail is now giving public tours every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and so I think we'll get out of here on time, so I'm going to head over to the tour. So,
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
Can I correct something on the record?
please.
When she
I knew
speaks, everybody stops, guys.
Diane Zorn. No, it was pointed out on the action agenda, item 8.21, talks about amending resolution 7616, and it's actually resolution 7416 that we're amending.
Okay.
How do you want us to handle that? Do you want us to formally recognize it, or?
It can be corrected on the record as a clerical error. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record that it's
I accept that
7416.
that was a mistake that we made.
Yes.
Okay,
Very good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Diane.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
We're adjourned. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Very,